Here's a survey of diabetes. A lot of people don't really realize diabetes is implicated in cardiovascular disease, heart condition, stroke, and they don't feel they're at risk for high blood pressure. So a lot of people are not aware of the issue. But more than 65% of all deaths in people with diabetes are caused by cardiovascular disease. Heart attacks occur at an earlier age in people with diabetes and often result in premature death. Up to 60% of adults with diabetes have high blood pressure. Nearly all adults with diabetes have one or more cholesterol problems, such as high triglycerides, low HDL, or high LDL. By managing the ABCs of diabetes, people with diabetes can reduce their risk for heart disease and stroke. So the A stands for A1C, which is a blood test that you can get at your doctor's office, and it tends to show your blood glucose control over a longer period of time, over say a week or a month, weeks or even a month. D stands for blood pressure control, and C stands for cholesterol. So yeah, over the last 3 months, A1C, get your A1C checked at least twice a year. A1C goal is less than 7%. So for that, you have to eat the right foods, get physical activity, take blood glucose regularly, and take medications as prescribed. High blood pressure raises your risk for heart attack, stroke, eye problems, and kidney disease. Get your pressure checked, we just talked about that. Eat more fruits and vegetables, that's number one. Reduce the amount of salt in your diet, lose weight, lower alcohol intake, quit smoking. Very much the same theme here. Take blood pressure medication if you need it. Many people require more than one medication. Several kinds of blood fats. You have bad cholesterol, LDL, which can narrow and block arteries. HDL, good cholesterol, helps remove cholesterol deposits. Triglycerides can raise your risk for heart attacks and stroke. Does anyone take fish oil here? It's a great way to raise your HDL, lower your triglycerides, so I highly recommend it. Also can reduce inflammation if you take it in sufficiently high doses, and it helps your brain. It's just you get a lot of benefit for the money. The goals for cholesterol: you want to be under 100 for the LDL. Your HDL, you want it above 40 or above 50 for a woman. Triglycerides less than 150. Eat less saturated fat. Foods high in saturated fat, fatty meats, high-fat dairy products, tropical oils. Eat foods high in fiber, oatmeal, beans, peas, citrus fruits. Take cholesterol-lowering medication if necessary. Exercise regularly. You have to read labels. I think that's part of it too. I think people just, my feeling is people are generally unaware of the content of the food. I think sometimes they're shocked at how many calories are in it and basically how much saturated fat. And I know like fast food places now, like they're starting to post the calories and the fat content. And I don't know about you, but there's been times where I found it to be effective, where I say, yeah, I'm going to have, no, I don't think so. Work with a dietitian if necessary. Develop your own personalized meal plan. If you have weight loss goals that you're having trouble achieving on your own, choose foods low in fat, and look at the carbohydrates. I mean, we all need carbs to function, but maybe you don't need as many depending on your activity level. If you're very active, you need them. If you're not, you don't need as much. A little bit goes a long way with exercise. Try being more active throughout the day. Everything you do counts. So look for little ways to make yourself more active. Walking is fine. You burn just as many calories walking miles, running a mile. You just takes longer. It just takes longer to get there.
The high blood pressure is directly related to how hard it is for your heart to pump blood through your body. Is that it? Because athletes, you said that athletes in general have lower blood pressure.
Yeah, it basically makes it harder to pump blood through the body, and athletes. Blood vessels tend to be more dilated. They also have more of them. They have developed more extensive venous network to return the blood back to the heart. That all comes with training. But you know what? It also happens very quickly. I mean, if you start walking or jogging, your body immediately starts that process of adapting. And so within a week, you're going to see positive changes. Maybe sore, but your blood vessels are going to be healthier. So that's what happens.
And one more question. For anyone who drinks Gatorade, we know that it has salt in it. So how do we, athletes are encouraged to drink.
There's still a lot of controversy about that. I mean, yeah, athletes are encouraged to drink. I mean, of course, if you drink tons of water, of course, it depends on how much you really are eating. So, a sedentary person versus an athlete is two different things. So, or an athlete in a a hot weather environment or just a normal environment. If you're in a hot weather environment, you're losing a tremendous amount of fluids. That's a special need, so you do need to ingest a fair amount of sodium along with the other electrolytes. So, but if you're not, I mean, then you really don't need all that sodium. So, you know, a lot of people think that, well, they ingest a lot of Gatorade, drink a lot of Gatorade. There's other options out there. In fact, what I tell some of my people is to, you know, I take these like electrolyte pills, and basically they don't have a lot of sodium in it. They have a lot more magnesium, potassium, and they have no sugar either. Because you know, if you drink Gatorade, is very caloric, the regular stuff, or a lot of those sports drinks, and you have to look at the calories on those things. If you're drinking a few of those a day, you may be sabotaging your diet. So, you know, so I look for these little pills that you drop in water, and they contain all the necessary electrolytes without all the junk calories and that you may not need. I mean, if you're going to go out and run 10 miles, by all means, you know, you can have the sugary stuff, but where you just finish running, then that's sort of the other issue is too, if you're sweating a lot and you just drink regular water though, you can actually lose sodium. You actually, you know, that's not as common a problem, but if you're really doing a lot of, let's say you're playing a few games of basketball and you just drink lots and lots of water, you may actually become hyponatremic and actually lose sodium. So it's sort of a delicate balance, and electrolytes can go out of balance very quickly. So you have to kind of educate yourself a little bit about it. That you know, really you want to match what you're ingesting to what you're actually needing, and the need is created by the type of exercise and the environment you're doing it in.
Mentioning about basically checking your own blood pressure, making sure you check it frequently. You know, you go to a Walgreens or somewhere, they have, you know, all these different options. Are there any particular measurement tools that to stay away from? Are they all good? Any you recommend?
Yeah, I think I mean I have all of them. I have the wrist one, I have the arm one, you know, the traditional ones, and yeah, there's some inaccuracies built into it, but generally usually the automatic ones, like the first reading you take, oftentimes is the least accurate one, and you should take it ideally if you have the time, take it multiple times, you know, at least 2 times, and you know, I think the upper arm ones are certainly a little better than the wrist ones. I mean, the wrist ones are nice if you're traveling. I guess you can just throw it, you know, in your stuff and take it with you. But I would say to get like a good quality upper arm one, like I have one out here. It's I think it's Omron, and it does a good job. And it's pretty easy to fasten yourself, and it takes it quickly, it stores the readings. And I just think that it's worth. I really think it's pretty much any adult should. Every adult should do it if they can, because you know, you'd be surprised, I think, how much it varies, and maybe at different points in your life, how it can creep up. That's surprising.
I know a bit about the HDL and LDL, but what is the triglycerides? What does that actually affect, or is it what causes your triglycerides to be out of kilter? I don't really understand the triglyceride. Yeah,
it's a dietary. It's basically you know, one of the dietary fats that leads to atherosclerosis. So you know, I would say to look at, you really want to look at your saturated fat that you're eating. I mean, the goal with you need fats first of all. People don't, you know, realize, like, you can overdo the low fat diet because, you know, people say, well, I want to lose weight, so I'm going to go on, you know, try to cut it down to close to zero as I can. Well, that's not going to be healthy. No, because your body makes a lot of important things out of fat. You should be about 30% fat. So, you know, and basically the fat and protein are important components of your diet because they also make you feel full and basically prevent you from overeating carbohydrates. So you definitely want to include it, but they have to be healthy fats. So healthy fats are the omega-3s and such, and you'll find those, you know, in fish and nuts and things like that. So it's you have to start looking, like, unfortunately, the typical grain-fed beef is high in saturated fat, so people, you know, talk about beef and don't eat beef and everything like that. Well, you have an option. I just want to let everyone know there's an option of eating grass-fed beef. There's special forms that raise cattle on grass, very low in saturated fat, won't raise your triglycerides. It's similar to eating fish, although fish is probably the best thing to eat. That you have to watch your the heavy metals that can accumulate from frequent fish eating, like mercury. It's kind of a shame, you know, because, you know, you start out maybe as a young man and, you know, you function quite well on 3,000 calories a day, and all of a sudden, you know, you get to to be older, and now you only need 2,000 calories a day. Well, your brain thinks you're the same, and you just want to eat the same food, the amount of food you've always eaten. And it's really tough to start. And people have to do all sorts of ways to deal with that. I know some very successful masters athletes that only eat once a day after the exercise, and that's the only time to eat. I don't recommend that. I think you're better off spacing it out, smaller meals throughout the day.
I take a high blood pressure medication and Crestor, which is a high cholesterol, and I also take I recently got a metformin, which is to prevent the diabetes.
Right.
Now, my question, I would like to ask if you fast, like I fast sometimes, and I didn't take my medication during the fast, or actually I took the first half a day, and then I said, you know what, no more, and I just saw the results when I went in, and they, my blood pressure was way up, and so was my diabetes, and that's just recently I was on the metformin, and I didn't take that. So should I take my medications during like a fasting period? That's something that
Well, I mean, usually yes, if you're supposed to take them like at prescribed intervals of time, I would say yes. And the other thing is, I would say is to, if you can do your own assessments, like try to like measure your levels and see what your need is, like during a fast versus non-fasting, because you may have to discuss that with your doctor as far as like altering your dosing or dosing times based on your fasting. I mean, fasting is a whole different subject really, because, and I know people do it successfully, but it also may not come. The success may not come quickly. Your body may have to adapt to it over time. And I was just actually talking about some athletes that they essentially do. That's what they do, is they eat once a day, so they're fasting the rest of the time. And I spoke to people. They told me it took months for their body really to get used to it, but once it did, it really was beneficial, and it seemed to have a positive effect on their performance and hormones. So, but I would say make sure you're assessing your situation throughout the day, because you may be spiking levels that you're not aware of, especially if you're not taking medication, because you may need to have the medication in your system all the time. So I definitely think you should assess it and also discuss. Have those numbers ready to discuss with your doctor.
Okay, one last question.
This is a quick question. It's true that the amount you eat is directly correlated to the way you age, right? Because isn't it like the more you oxygenize your body or whatever as you eat, that you age quicker or something?
Yeah. That's a good point. As far as the need for antioxidants, that's another thing. We didn't discuss, but if you can take, there's some really potent antioxidants out there that can really help with hypertension, diabetes. I mean, not help to the extent that, trust me, if you have severe diabetes or hypertension, it's not going to cure it. But looking to manage it properly, you want to take as many positive nutritional supplements. By the way, I just saw an article the other day. Low vitamin D levels contribute to hypertension. So there's lots of issues. So by all means, try to look into supplements that will help with the management of high blood pressure, diabetes. Many supplements out there that can really help, along with fish oil and such. Also, CoQ10 is a good one, especially for those taking the statin drugs. That's an important supplement to take because the drugs deplete CoQ10. So thanks again for having me.
Okay, let's thank Dr. Cawley again for and I do have my own blood pressure machine at home.